I was thinking about my 2011 deployment, and the things that we saw and the things that we did were so out of what we in America will ever understand, or a normal, regular, civilized society. It blows my mind that we get out and we're just, okay, now this is how you're supposed to be, and you just gotta go figure it out from there. I was born in Arizona, Mesa, Arizona, and through a series of events, my father was actually shot, and then he had to get out of town, so he moved to Indiana, and I ended up meeting him there. And most of my life, up until 17 years old, was spent hopping back and forth between Arizona and Illinois. I joined the military when I was 17, and it was equal parts good, equal parts bad, because the first time in my life I had a brotherhood, a fraternity that that was forced upon us, and that is a great social experiment. That is the Marine Corps Infantry, and I was stationed out in 29 Palms, California. It got pretty primal, pretty Lord of the Flies at times, but it was fun. It was a brotherhood. I remember when my first Marine was killed in action. The events happened before noon that day, and it was one of the most horrendous days of my life. I'd probably say the worst day of my life. As soon as they took his body up in the helicopter, I remember we went back to the hooch, we resupplied, and then we went right back out on patrol within, I'd say, 3 to 4 hours. And then we never talked about it for the rest of that deployment. We had gotten there March of 2011, and he was killed June 3rd. Between those 2 months, or 3 months, it was run and gun, having a good time. We were taking combat, but it was always innocent, as combat can be, regardless of what people say. It was adrenaline packed, it was fun. We were doing cool things, and then that day happened, and everyone kind of realized that the guy to the left and to the right of each other, we are all that we have in that moment. That bond became fucking real in that moment, where brothers fight, brothers hate each other, brothers aren't always getting along, but at the end of the day, I will have this guy's back and he will have mine. So that just cascaded into another deployment right after that. Met some great guys. The guy I live with right now, my best friend, Jeff Mays. And then all of a sudden I realized I didn't want to stay in, and I got out. I got out with no money, no idea of what I wanted to do, no idea of who I wanted to be. And I thought I wanted to get out, but what I was truly doing was leaving the only idea of family that I really had in my life. So for the next, I'd say, 2015, the next 5 to 6 years was spent extremely depressed, major depressive disorder and major PTSD. And I internalized that, and then I projected it out onto everyone around me. And I'd wake up and I'd look at the person standing in the mirror, and I'd fucking hate that person. And when that starts your day off, it's a constant cycle of trying to build yourself back up, and then you go to bed, and then the next day you start this all over again. And there was just I had no love for who I was, and that's tough. I moved into a little one-bedroom by myself. And for the first time, I think, in my entire life, like, I was truly alone. Like, the silence was deafening. And it was, then the thoughts really started to creep in. And I started to realize that I had two options here. My first option is I can go in my room, I can grab my pistol, and I can just boom. And all of this will stop. All of it will end. And I can finally breathe and just take this elephant off my chest. But the downside of that is all of that pain will now transfer over to everybody else in my life. And that will be a black mark that will stay on them for as long as they live. And quite literally, the love I have for my friends and family is what saved me. And they're the ones that are the reason I'm still here, because I could not do that to them. Just couldn't. So then I asked myself, what is the other option? Well, it's the hardest. I have two difficulty levels here. I have really easy or really hard. And the hard part is, the hard path is, I have to do something to get better, because I was at that branching point. I either choose A or B, and there's no going forward in any other path that's not A or B. And that's what I did. So I told myself that it wasn't going to happen tomorrow. I told myself it wasn't going to happen the next day or the next week, but it's going to be a very long process. And I'm going to revisit this pathway at various points as I have. I have to tell myself that it's a process. It's going to get better. My entire life, music has been the most stable thing. My father always had music on. Anything from KRS-One to Megadeth, like, there was always music playing. So I said, okay, I have this bass guitar, let me go learn some bass. I signed up for classes and met a guy named Kevin Selmer down in Spring Valley. Went down there, and second lesson, I noticed he's got this diploma hanging up. And I said, what is that? Like, what was your pathway to get to where you are now? And he's got this massive garage that he's converted into this really nice studio. And he's like, oh, I went to this place called Studio West, and they have a program there for recording art. What is exciting is I have 3 songs I've composed and arranged myself, and it's just incredible that I've been able to do that. Like, I put together, I made this song, and I've tracked drums. These are multi-track songs. You know, drums, guitar, acoustic guitar, vocals, and it's every day I'm learning about possibility. I'm learning about what I can do and what I can continue to do. It's just one of the craziest things in the world to me, that I can come here and I get 6 hours of studio time every week. I've kind of taken Jeff as my little pawn for most of my projects, because he's got a really good voice and he can play guitar. I've also started to dabble in videography. I'm proud of this, and and it's given me something back too, because also my musicianship has gone through the roof since I've been here. It's just through the roof. I'm around talented musicians every day, and like I said, I'm writing songs, and I'm physically writing songs as well. Songwriting has become a nice little hobby of mine. Getting to write down how I'm feeling in a lyrical manner is a surprisingly therapeutic thing to do. If you would have asked me years ago, I'd probably say going out with the boys and having a good time and probably getting blackout drunk and making a fool of myself, and then living with the anxiety the next day. But now, Saturdays, coming here and going to the studio is, again, it's so much fun. I spend 6-7 hours here, especially if we're recording an original song. Just building that up and then going home and spending it with my dog. going to bed early and waking up the next day. And and nowadays it's football on Sunday, but yeah, no, anything that drives my passion is going to be a perfect Saturday for me. So being here, being in a recording space, creating something, even if it's, what I'm realizing is I can't put a quantity or quality on it. I just say, okay, let's just create to create. And you know, speaking on, like, think of it in a way with film photography. I'm big into film photography, and one thing I've realized with that is you're gonna get 10 shots that are not good, but you're gonna find that one that's amazing. And that one amazing one is so rewarding, and it applies to music and pretty much anything else in life. You're gonna fail at a lot of things, but you're gonna find that one thing. And with music, it's the same way. I'm gonna write 6 or 7 really terrible songs, and I've looked through some of them, especially my earliest song, that's not very good, but I'm gonna have one that I can put a pin on and say that's my favorite one right there. It's like building a house, you know? I've laid my foundation, and now for the next, I'd say my 2 to 3 year plan is building that house up. And more importantly, not comparing myself to other people and not setting expectations, but not being so hard on myself and taking all of this in as it goes. Because after this entire interview and this entire process and all of these bad things that I've been talking about, I'm alive. Like, I have both my legs, which is, especially my first point, what a lot of people can't say they have. I have both my legs. I've not been shot anywhere. I have my hearing. I have my eyesight. I can still speak. I'm getting back into shape, and I still have an incredible group of friends around me. An incredible group of friends. And if any of them watch this, if this gets put in, you guys are the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I know that this journey is only going to be, bettered because I have them next to me. And it's exciting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's only positive from here on out. And it's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling.